Hi guys, so this is part 2 of our men's pelvic floor work. Hopefully you've already gone through the first video and worked on locating your pelvic floor and learning how to turn it on in your own body. Now we'll move on and we'll add the rest of the core into your pelvic floor work, and then also work on finding proper posture and spinal alignment. And the reason that's important is men often, especially if you're post-op, end up with what we call a posterior pelvic tilt. So essentially from sitting or standing too long, you get this kind of tucked position where my glutes are working too hard, my hamstrings are working too hard, my abs are working too hard, and then the front of my hip flexors here are lengthened and my low back is lengthened and not working hard enough. So we're going to try and balance all of that out. So first of all, let's lay down on your back. You will need a foam roller, if you've got one, and a ball. And if you don't have that ball at home, don't worry, I'll give you some modifications. The foam roller will be really useful when we get to trying to release the muscles. So come with me down to our mats here. You're gonna find yourself lying down in a knees bent, heels in line with your sit bone position here. Make sure you can see me. Good. So my heels are in line with my tailbone, or my sit bones. They're slightly parted. And for most of this, I'll put my arms up. You don't need to do that, but just so you can really see what's happening. We're gonna first start just to mobilize the spine, find movement in it. So all I want you to do is rock your pelvis, tip it backwards, flattening your back into the mat. Don't force it. And then let everything go. Almost arch your back, find some extension in it. Draw everything in. Don't worry too much about what's working here. You're just finding movement. We're not really thinking imprint necessarily. Just movement in your spine. Rocking it back and forth. And we'll find in a moment here our neutral spine. So coming back where there's a little space, a little curve in my low back here, but I'm not overarching and I'm not flattening. And that's your neutral spine. And if you feel like you haven't found it or you still don't know what I'm talking about, make a diamond shape with your hands and put that diamond right down on your pelvis, right down to your pubic bone, and then glance at it. And what you want to see is that your thumb and your fingertips are in line. So your fingertips aren't above your thumbs or below. You're trying to find that nice flat triangle parallel to the ceiling. And that's your neutral spine. And then let's talk about breath here. I want you to take an inhale through your nose and exhale like you're blowing out one birthday candle. So it's just a little resistance, just like that. Inhale through your nose, exhale through a pursed lip. And then take two fingers, find the front of your hip bones, those bony marks right at the front. Go just in from there and push down into the fleshy part. And let's find that breath again. Take an inhale, prepare. Exhale like you're blowing out a birthday candle. Feel it firm under your fingertips. Inhale through your nose. Exhale, you should feel firming under your fingertips as you blow out. And that is your TA, your transverse abdominis, your deepest layer of abdominal muscles. So let's do that a few more times. Nothing's moving in my spine, even as I exhale. Inhale, exhale, feel it firm. And if you don't feel it firm, I want you to have that same position with your fingertips pushing down and just cough for me. And you should feel it contract. That's the muscle we're looking to find in our bodies. Okay? So let's add your pelvic floor onto that. If it's helpful, you can keep your hands here. Otherwise, thinking about our pelvic floor lift work we've already done, take an inhale, prepare. Exhale, draw your pelvic floor up, your stop P muscles, the muscle used to keep from breaking wind, retracting your penis, lifting your scrotum, and then tightening like a seatbelt across the front, firming your TA, and hold it. And then let everything go. Notice how nothing's moving in my spine. I'm going to start to lift my pelvic floor, which you can't see, and I'm going to firm my TA, which you can't see, I'm going to hold it for a breath and let everything go. So again, inhale, prepare. Exhale, pelvic floor lifting, TA firming down and in, and then release that. And let's add on to that. So lift your pelvic floor, firm your TA, feel stability here. And with your right leg, I want you to lift it towards what we call tabletop, shin parallel to the sky, and place it back down. Alternate to the other side. You're going to lift your leg and place it back down. As we do this little march, your goal is to keep those muscles firm and not shift from side to side. So you may find a release at the bottom if you're getting tired in those muscles. Lift the pelvic floor, turn your TA on again, and lift the leg and place it down. Start your lift, engage everything, find the stability. And as I do this, I'm trying not to rock through my pelvis, try not to tip from side to side, keeping those muscles turned on. Just a few more like this, then we'll add on. But at home, you can practice this. You can do a few sets of 10. It's a great way to find those core muscles. Also to turn on our hip flexors, which if you do have that posterior pelvic tilt, are probably not working the way they should be. All right, let's settle the feet back down and let's make this more challenging. So if you've got the ball here, I want you to lift your hips and put the ball on your or under your sacrum. So it's not all the way down to my tailbone and it's not on my low back. It's right at the back of my pelvis. If you don't have the ball at home, you can do two things. You can lay flat and work from the position we were just in, no problem. Or you can find your roller, lay it down from your head to your tailbone and lay your spine across it. And what the ball and the roller are going to do, they're going to help you find the intrinsic stabilizers in your pelvis, in your core. So essentially, my body is going to be constantly trying to find its balance and turning on my core muscles naturally. It's also going to help to open up through the back of my sacrum, my pelvis, and create some blood flow in here. Okay, so I'm finding a stable position again. Good to have your hands down on the ground for this. And let's move right into what we were just doing. So our pelvic floor lifted, engaged, like a seatbelt across the front of my hip bones, firming down. And now maybe thinking a little more about your obliques. So from your hip bones to your ribs, if you imagine you're wearing suspenders, I'm just going to tighten them slightly towards each other. So I'm not tucking yet. I'm not going into what we call an imprint. I'm still pretty neutral, but I'm thinking about the muscles, thinking about those sort of suspender feeling tightening from my ribs to my hips in through here, tightening. Seatbelt, pelvic floor lifting, and then finding that. And we'll go back to that same march. Let's exhale, feel everything firm, bring one leg to tabletop, place it back down. Alternating one leg to tabletop, place it back down. So from side to side, as you do this, again, try not to rock sideways. Essentially, try not to move anything in your torso and pelvis, just my leg hinging up and down. And if this is starting to feel pretty easy for you, some ways to make it more challenging, you could come just down to the elbows. It's going to be a lot more challenging. Or extend the arms right up to the sky as we march. And we're only going as fast as we can without rocking or tilting through your pelvis. Likely if you are on your roller, arms in the air is going to be a little too challenging, but it is doable. It's just very challenging. Okay, and let's add on again. So let's tighten the core. Let's think about my suspenders being firm, and let's bring both legs up to tabletop and reverse this. So flexing my feet, I'm going to start heel dips. So kind of the opposite of what I just did. Dipping one heel down and away as far as I can without losing that ab connection. Maybe I'll touch the ground, maybe not, and draw it back up. Dip one heel down and away. I'm alternating to the other leg and draw it back up. And again, if you feel like you're kind of arching the back or losing that spinal alignment in your neutral spine, you're going to make it a little smaller. So maybe your heel will only go halfway down. Good. Let's keep going like that. Again, you've got options. You can come to the forearms, make it a little more challenging. Nice. Or you can come arms straight up to the sky, a lot more challenging. I'm just going to do a few more here. Again, my hip flexors are working. Hold it. And then let's add on. I'll extend one leg forward to a diagonal if I can, and draw it back in. And alternate to the other side. This is all still effective if you're lying flat on the mat. So don't worry, if you don't have a ball at home, no big deal. I just bought my daughter a ball at Shoppers Drug Mart that costs, I think, like $5. And it works just as effectively for this. You don't need any fancy Pilates specific balls. Just a squishier ball will help you. Let's do 2 more here. And in a later video, I will do a whole series you can do here on the ball. That's really awesome for the stabilizers in the core. Let's bring the legs down, and likely you're feeling this in your hip flexors a lot, so bring the bottoms of your feet together like they're praying, and let your hips flop open. And this will really help release all the muscles through the front of the pelvis, through the hips. It should feel really nice. And if it's too deep, just go flat on the ground and do the exact same opener here. Deep breath, my hip flexors are releasing. And for time's sake, even though it feels really good, we'll move on. So drawing the legs together, we're going to flip over and come to a 4-point kneel position. So again, mobilizing the spine in this position, 4-point kneel. And then let's find our cat position, rounding your spine up to the sky. Take an inhale there, breathing into the back insides of your lungs, and then release it down, finding a little arch of your back. Take an inhale there, and exhale, rounding back, back, back. One big breath here, and then releasing to neutral. You're going to tuck your toes under here. So I've got that neutral spine. I've got that little curve in my back. A lot of times I even find instructors are going to cue an imprint here, but that's not really going to service you ultimately. It may help you turn your abs on for now, but you really want to work, especially in this 4-point kneel position, in your natural curve, in your neutral spine. So when we stand up, we're strong with the natural curves of your spine. So my toes are tucked, my knees are down right under my hip line, my wrists are right under my shoulders. I'm going to take an inhale to prepare. I'm going to lift my low belly up first and engage my pelvic floor, and then I'm going to lift my knees to a hover. Take an inhale, hold it there, and exhale, place it back down. So take an inhale, prepare, pelvic floor, low belly engage. Nothing's changing in my spine, but I'm lifting my knees to a hover. I'm going to hold that and place it back down. A few more times. Inhale, exhale. Nothing shifting, just the knees lifting to a hover. If I shift my weight forward, my arms are going to do more work. So stay shoulders right over your wrist line, place it down. One more here. Inhale, exhale, low belly lifts, pelvic floor engaged, hover, and place it all the way back down. We are running out of time here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to finish up. Those are the exercises that are really going to engage the muscles, engage the core. We started a little work on the hip flexors. I'm going to have you come back for a second video here so we can talk about your posture and work with that. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video.